Hey everybody, welcome back to the Diamond H. Today we will be changing the gear oil in the front axle of my TYM T474 tractor. I will have a tool list for you right after this video. I'll let you know exactly what I'm going to be using. And before we get started, I don't ever like to change gear oil at being cold. Now it's almost 80 degrees out here today, but that's still cold as far as gear oil. So I've already warmed up my tractor and I'm gonna go take it for a ride and shift in and out of four-wheel drive a couple of times, get some heat built up in the front axle, get those gears turning, and put just a little bit of heat in the front axle. And when I get back to the shop, it'll drain much easier instead of being just ambient temperature, because it'll take it longer. It'll drain a whole lot easier if it's warm. That's what we're going to do. So let's get after it. The tools we'll be using today will be a 1/2 inch drive square drive sockets. This is a 1/2 inch for the upper vent and the lower drain on the outside outboard. This 5/8 square drive will be used for the center bottom drain on the front axle. I highly recommend purchase yourself a set of square drive sockets to make your life much more easier. I will put a link in the description below where I got these on Amazon. My associate link will help my channel out for a very small percentage of whatever you buy, and I would appreciate the help. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It just pays me a very small percentage of each sale. But these square drives come in real handy when dealing with square plugs. The other thing is I like to use regular painter's masking tape to wrap around the square plugs to give it a little bit more bite. You can also buy these in metric. I just happen to have these in SAE and they work fine. But there's just a little bit of slack because square plugs are just like that. They're not really completely square on all sides. They're kind of rounded, and that makes this have a little slack in it. So I just like to wrap a little blue masking tape around each one to give it a little bit more bite. You don't have to do that. It's just something that I do to make my life easier. And a 1/2 inch drive ratchet, of course. And I use an extension to get away from that axle a little bit so I have more swing room with the ratchet. Today's fluid is TRIAX Full Synthetic GL4 75W90. Most full synthetic gear oils they drop down into the 75 weight range because they flow better, and this is another example of that. So this is 75W90 full synthetic Synergy Gear MT. MT stands for manual transmissions, and it's genuine API GL4 rated. So let's get after it. The first thing I'm going to do is to loosen the fill port, which is also the vent cap. This yellow cap has a vent in it. It's very important to keep this clean so the air can escape when it builds up pressure inside. Otherwise, it could push the gear oil out through the hub and then blow a seal or cause a leak. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. I like using soft jaw pliers, adjustable pliers. This is also the dipstick. Now I should have wiped that off, but I did not. It's not that dirty. I'm going to leave this cap on loosely, just enough so air can escape down the side, so when I pull the drains it won't create a suction up here at the top. Even though I'm pulling the top vent square drain ports, I still want air to come from the top, the very top, which is this fill port here. Take this extension off. I hope y'all can still hear me. I had to put the mic underneath my neck. I don't have anywhere else for it to go. That came loose nicely. Let's see if I can nicely get this plug out of here without getting it all over me. Ready, go. Boy, that was smooth as molasses, I ain't lying. I'm talking about smooth. Did y'all catch that? That was awesome. This gear oil is purple. I did that on purpose. I usually dye my gear oil blue or purple. And this is purple, like LSU purple. If you're not a LSU fan, I'm sorry. I'm from Louisiana. Landed in Arkansas. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but I cleaned the tape off of the threads that I had to seal it. I'll clean that up a little bit more when I put fresh petroleum proof tape back on there. And that's going to drain for a while, so I'm going to lay the drain plug down and reconfigure this camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try this without putting the tape on there. Not everybody out there is going to want to put tape on there if they don't have to. So the first thing I'm going to do is break this top vent plug. Now I will mention, if you have not flipped your front wheels, if you have not swapped this side to that side and that side to this side and turned the dish out instead of in, you're going to have to take your wheel off to get to this top vent, okay? Because this wheel will be covering up this top vent plug. Now I swapped my front wheels 2 years ago to make the front end wide as the rear, and it gives it a little bit more stability. It gives that axle a little bit more width. It's just like that old Pontiac commercial, wide is better. I think I just showed my age, but anyway, once if you do flip your front wheels, just swap sides, then you can easily get to this, as you can see. I may have to put tape on there because it is horrendously tight. Mercy. And I'm the one that put it in there. But this is NPT, or National Pipe Thread Taper. And tapered threads get tighter. The more pressure you put on them, the tighter they get, Jack. Now I'm only going to drain this right side of this axle on this wheel hub, because the other side, that wasn't a good idea there, Marty. There's still fluid coming out of there. When your front axle has the correct amount of level of fluid in it, it's going to leak out of this top vent. But I got that broke loose. Now let me see if I can block the camera 29 ways to get to that bottom drain. Now I've got my drain pan in there already and tilted and braced with this middle pan. Pull my back out of joint before this is over. Okay, now if Marty has done this correctly, which I'm not having second thoughts now if that's going to shoot out of there or not. Boy, well, I just don't know. Y'all keep your eyes focused on the plug and we'll find out together, I guess. Hot dog, look at there. That's smooth again. Can you see that purple gear oil on there? Ain't that pretty? Not really. And it's really not that purple. I don't know why it's showing. It looks pink on there, but it's not. It's deep purple, like the band. Deep. Looks like I showed my age again. Deep purple. They got some good jam though. Okay. I'm gonna let that drain. I'm gonna set, hopefully, set this bottom drain plug right there, and it'll behave and not wander off. I'm going to reach over here and tuck out this top vent plug so we can carry on Wayward Son. Well, I'm just full of it today, ain't I? I'm full of it and I'm empty in the front axle. That sounds like a good combination to me. I'm wiping these plugs off. I doubt y'all can see that off camera. But I'm just wiping out whatever will come out. And I'm going to set the top plug vent right there. And I'm going to turn the cameras off. I don't know. Let me look at my monitor here. Yeah, you can see that center drain still dripping, but I'm going to turn the cameras off and let this continue to drain, and then I'm going to drain the right side. But there's no use in filming that because the right side is the same as the left. It's just different sides, of course. Okay, see y'all in a little bit. Okay, so I got the middle drain plug reinstalled. I got the bottom outboard drain plugs reinstalled. And now we're going to add the gear oil, 1 gallon, with the top vents out on the outboard vents. I'm leaving the top vents out so the oil can make its way down into the actual differential part of the hub, gear hubs. So we're going to slowly pour this TRIAX Synergy Gear full synthetic 75W90 API GL4 gear oil in the axle, and I've already dyed it blue. This full synthetic gear oil is fairly clear because it's some high quality stuff, I guarantee you. Now I drained out TRIAX Gear Premium 80W90 that was GL4 compatible, that it was yellow metal safe. And I have been recommending that for 2 years to other people that were looking for a cost-effective alternative But I decided at this 300-hour service, I'm going full synthetic with everything, TRIAX. Full synthetic axle gear oil, front axle gear oil, full synthetic hydrostatic and transmission hydraulic fluid, and full synthetic 15W40 for the engine. And I use TRIAX all fleet ELC coolant for the cooling system. You can watch that video. That's the very first video in this series of service. Is the coolant replacement, drain, flush, and replacement. I can tell you right now that this full synthetic 7590 pours very fast, unlike conventional gear oil that's slow as molasses. That TRIAX Gear Premium that I drained out drained way faster than the gear oil that was originally in it from the factory. And it was conventional. It wasn't even semi-synthetic. It was just conventional. But it has served its purpose, and it's done a great job. It really didn't even change colors, although there's not a lot of heat in this front axle, nor is there any combustion going on to create soot and carbon. So none was expected. I am going to run a magnet around in that center drain, and that other drain pan, I'm going to run a magnet around there to see just what comes out. I don't expect very much at all. I didn't really have a lot come out at the original 50-hour service, but there was a sheen to it. You could tell there was a metal sheen, and that's what it was supposed to look like, because that first 50-hour service is the wear-in period where those gears mesh together and they find their happy place where they're going to work together for the duration of the tractor life. I also like these. TRIAX does a great job at putting pull-up spouts on most, if not all, of their containers. Even the 5-gallon jugs have a pull-out spout, and they also have a vent on the backside. I'll show you that when we get to that hydraulic service video. Instead of glug, 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 glug and trying to pour it out, you just open up the vent and it comes straight out. I know this for a fact because I've already had to use some on a different tractor. Okay, that's about all she wrote for that. You see that spout that pushes in? Well, I'll just demonstrate it since I'm here. It's got a screw-on cap. Hope you can see that. Got a screw-on cap. And then that pushes back down in there. I got it crooked, but you get the gist. It goes back in there for storage. You really don't have to push it all the way in, especially if it's empty. All right, let me get my next jug and change gloves, because I got blue dye on them. That stuff will last forever. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all still here? That's great. I want to add, you can't just fill these up to where the dipstick is correct, where it's correct on the dipstick, and walk off and think it's finished. You will absolutely, to take this driving, either that or raise up the front end and spin these front wheels for a while and get that oil and air pockets to release and come back up, and the level will go back down. These front outboard gearboxes have lots of voids in there, and if you do not take it for a drive to let all that air pockets release themselves, you will have a false positive on your gear oil level. So don't forget, if you're doing this for your very first time, you can't just fill it up and walk off and think you're finished, because you're not. Yes, I don't want to say it'll be critically low, but this T474 holds about 1.75 gallons total when it's completely full. 1.5 gallons to 1.75 gallons, somewhere in there. There's no way to actually measure it unless you pour the remaining out of the jug and measure it accurately. But from past experience, I know that's what this front axle holds. I'm trying to fill this up to where it's seeping out of the top vents. I can't see that left side, so I'm going to have to stop and walk over there and make sure it's not pouring out on the ground. Although I'm fairly level, I'm not completely level where this tractor is sitting. So I may walk around here and take a gander, and we are good to go over there. If you do not leave your top vents out, it will create one heck of an air pocket. And then those gearboxes on the outboard side may never get enough gear oil in them because of that air pocket. If you take a good look at this front axle, the vents are way higher than the pivot. That is exactly 1.5 gallons of gear oil right there. And looking in this top vent, that oil is fixing to start seeping out. So I'm going to close these vents. It's getting dark out here too, folks. Sorry. I got a later start today than I actually wanted to. That's just part of life. Life doesn't go along all happy and goody in the sunshine and daisies every day. I'm sure you're well aware of that. Got a little seepage over here already, just a little bit. Not bad. But I'm glad I stopped when I did. Because if I didn't, it was fixing to start pouring out. All right. Tighten up these top vents, because we are done with these rascals. And go over to the other side and tighten up this one. And then we can continue on our merry way of filling this guy up. And again, these square sockets are a lifesaver when you're dealing with square plugs. Again, I'm going to put the link in the description down below where you can just go there and purchase the ones I have or whatever else you want to do. Vents are in. Only thing open on it now is the fill port. I will mention, when I took that cap off, it was below the end, just barely below the end of the dipstick, so I may have to revamp my quantity. We're getting there now. Actually, I'm going to check that level, make sure. I'm going to set this aside, put my dipstick back in and screw it all the way in. And then back it out and take a look. And that's exactly where it should be. It's above the full mark, about half the distance above the full mark. So I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to put this cap all the way back in, move my tools, and I'm going to take Big Red for a ride for about 1 mile to 2 miles. I'm about to get out of breath. About 1 mile to 2 miles, and let that work itself in, then come back and check it. When I get back, it's probably going to be dark, but I do have lights if you want to stick around and check the final procedure. If not, that's basically how you change the gear oil in the front axle of a TYM T474. Pull the center drain, pull the bottom outboard drains, pull the top outboard vents, let it all drain, then put your bottom outboard drain plugs back in and your center drain, and put about 1.5 gallons in there, and then take it for a ride and get everything moving and grooving to get them air pockets out of there, and then adjust from that point. This is not going to take it. I may not have to add anything because it's half the distance above the full mark right now, which means when in my last experience, that's perfectly where it should be, because once the air pockets move and the oil drops a little, it will be dead on full on the dipstick. I'm going to leave you now, so y'all take care, and thanks for watching. I hope this was a helpful video to you. Please subscribe to my channel if you like my content. We have lots of outdoor activities. You never know what we're going to get into next.